To teach me too, and let me tell you, he'd get up in the class and he'd tell about these women with all these fancy hats on.
Right.
And he said they really spend money for those hats, he said.
Isn't that
And
funny?
so he asked one of the kids in the class what church they belonged to. And this one said they didn't go to church.
Oh.
And guess what he told them?
What's that?
He said, you belong to the weatherboard outside of the church. And he would, you know.
Well, did you know my mother's family, now they went to the Christian church. Did you know Marguerite Peck, she worked down in the materials at J.C. Penney's, and our dear Wirt, she worked for.
I knew, I remember.
You remember Ardelia? Now Ardelia worked downtown at the Brent store for years and years and years.
Right, and when my daughter was young, we bought clothes from
yes,
Brent.
they had wonderful negligees and
Alberta
Sullivan,
you
yes
know,
indeed.
she's got all of them.
Oh, she does.
She retired the same time I retired.
Well, did she
from
go,
the
started working at the bank? Yeah, you worked at the bank
And I
too.
tell you, she is Alberta Olds. Her husband plays in the big band.
Does he really? Well, is that her first husband or her second husband?
Second.
I thought he
Her
was.
first
All right,
one.
Alberta's sister was married to my uncle, Billy Wheat. Edna
Oh,
was Alberta's
yeah.
sister. She
Yeah.
was married to my uncle, Billy Wheat, my
Yes.
mother's brother.
Yeah, didn't they live on Winchester Street?
That's where my mother lived, on Winchester Street, and that was yes, they did. Oh, yes, they did, yeah, on Winchester, yes, after they,
I thought they
yes, they
did.
certainly did.
See, in the olden days, you knew everybody
That's
where
right.
they lived.
Well, Jimmy and I lived on Winchester Street after we got married. That's where the children were raised.
Oh, they
Right
were.
next door to Roger Clark. You know where Roger Clark lives? Right behind old Kenmore.
Oh,
Kenmore's
yes.
back gate
It
opens
was
right up
a
on my
short
front.
street,
Uh-huh.
isn't it?
Kenmore's back gate opens right
Yeah.
up on our front porch.
Isn't
And that's
that
where the
something?
children were raised.
And Charlie Hearn.
Charlie Hearn,
was there.
he lived up on the side street. Charlie Hearn did.
Let me tell you what he did. My brother was operating on for appendix.
Uh-huh.
And in those days, the cars, we didn't have much transportation. Because Junior is 5 years younger than I am, and I'm 87.
Right.
And what happened, Mama was running a store, or she was either on the farm, and she met Charlie and his wife somewhere, and they found out Junior was going to be an operator.
Uh-huh.
And Dr. Harris took Junior up to the hospital because my father was working in Rappahannock at the time. And so Charlie Hearn told Margaret, you come up and stay with us while he's in the
Oh,
hospital.
well, that was
And
nice.
she was so happy.
They live right up there close.
He and his wife, they just made her feel like she was one of the children.
Well, how about all that money that the Charlie Hearn's daughter left to the
Isn't that
church, Lucy? I tell you.
I'm telling you, I was shocked.
I know we were too.
You
We
were?
were shocked.
I didn't know they had all that money.
Neither did I.
Now, who are the other people that were in Baltimore that,
Bill Bruce, was it Rylands or Bruce?
no,
She worked for a lawyer there, was named Bill. Bill, B-E-A-L.
Bill, right,
Yeah.
yeah. But there was somebody else up there that Susie Christie used to talk about too.
Oh, well, Lucy, and what was the other one? What's the other
We talking about her
sister?
sister, Lucy and?
No.
No.
There was somebody else up there that was kin to the Hearns.
I can't think, I don't know.
You know, they all, well, in the older days, there was no work and everybody went to Baltimore.
Yeah,
And the steamboat was here
I
and
remember.
they would get, you know, the picture. I've got to give him the picture so he can make a picture. Used to be out here where my daughter's house sits.
What used to be there?
A hotel,
Oh,
old hotel, and it burnt right near the time, right after I was born. And my mother came from Philadelphia on the steamboat to Port Royal.
Huh,
But they had to come from Philadelphia to Baltimore
right.
to get on
Yeah.
the steamboat. And see, my grandfather, Clarence Hicks, he was. No, you're
I'm
fine.
sorry.
Sit, that's fine. He was steamboat agent. He was married to my grandma. And here he is at the steamboat.
who was this?
My grandfather, Clarence Hicks.
Oh.
He married Elizabeth Enos.
Mhm.
All right, now, Ennis was your maiden name, right? Ennis. All right.
No, Hicks.
Oh, Hicks,
Hicks.
okay, you married a Ennis.
I married
Now, who was
Enos.
it? Who was
Enos
it?
is your name right
Yeah.
now. E-N-O-S.
Right.
I told you.
Well, now, there's a Hicks Motel out here.
That was Uncle Bob, my daddy's brother.
Dad's brother.
And that's where Herb, the mayor, lives. He bought it.
Well, now, I remember the one that had Hicks store. Betty's store.
Yeah. Well, that was Daddy Wirt.
Where, yeah. He
Yes.
had that land down on the, Rappahannock dock down there. He was.
He's still up there. They still got it.
I know they have.
And-
He pulled the old place down there when I was a kid for us to stay at on the weekends. We used to go there on the weekends
I
to stay.
wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
And you know the Boy Scouts from St. Mary's Catholic Church used to go down in the woods down there
Isn't that something?
for weekends. You
Yeah,
know how they
yeah.
would train. And see, Junior's still living. He has heart condition.
He's the one who runs the store.
No.
Oh.
He married Elizabeth Powers, Jim Powers' daughter,
Uh-huh.
and they had 7 children. His oldest son is Paul Wayne Hicks, and he's in Montana. And he went to school right where this terrible tragedy was last weekend. The West Virginia.
Well,
Paul
With
went,
the mines caving in.
Paul, Paul went to school at West Virginia University. He took up forestry. And when he got it out, I've forgotten what he did. And then he joined the army, and he went as far as a major. And his wife, she was a captain when he married her. And when they decided to have children, they've got 2 children, boy and a girl. She had to get out of the service.
They didn't copy this, Jay.
And anyway, then the next son,
It's Lucy
Is
Hearn, 1923, at Micah High School.
Michael Lee Hicks. He is in
You
Richmond.
got a lot of Hearn
Boy, I
folks in
tell
that
you,
went
you
to
need to
school
write a
here.
book. You've
Graduated
got a
school.
wonderful memory of everything. don't you?
Anyway,
I didn't copy
He-
all of this.
and then
No, you need
his
is a
third
picture.
son,
Yeah, well, that's all.
Tommy,
Yeah, of course,
he
on the Liberty, you don't
comes
have the other
with
two.
Johnny Davis
The
at
Green
Camden.
Oh,
You know, the history
really?
of Liberty.
Tommy,
Yeah,
and
copied
Tommy
this.
fixes all the
Yes,
machinery,
Oh, okay.
and he's
And the pictures
married.
over.
And
we
then
need to copy this all
Chris
information. We
is
already
the
did
one
that.
that runs
Yeah,
the
that's
Well, we need
store.
the Liberty information.
And then
Okay.
John
The Liberty
Rogers
information,
was
because, yeah,
named
that's
from
Samuel Tentwood.
Dr.
You got to
Harris
leave that church
Okay.
and
and
build
John
it up.
Green.
Okay.
And John Rogers works for Rappahannock Electric.
Oh, okay.
And there's two girls. Teresa, she's the only one that never married, and she teaches children at Lady Smith.
Oh, okay.
It's some special education.
Oh,
And then Patricia is the baby, and she works in one of the banks in Richmond
uh-huh.
that merged.
For goodness sakes.
And she married a fella from out in the west part of the state, and he works in the same bank with her, but they're different departments.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they've got a little girl.
For goodness sakes.
Yeah.
It's a big family.
And when Christmas came, Elizabeth had 20 some for Christmas. They eat on Christmas Eve,
Uh-huh.
then Christmas Day, nobody. They just pick up food.
Uh-huh.
And so Paul and his wife, Celinda, she's a therapist. And she's got a big job with a doctor out in Montana.
Oh.
They live out there.
Uh-huh.
And then they've got a son, Andrew, and he lives in Washington, Seattle, Washington.
Oh.
Then Rachel, she's in Montana, 'cause she came here to go to college in Northern Virginia, and she had scholarships, 2 of them.
Oh, she must be
And
smart.
somebody that she knew in her high school in Montana
Uh-huh.
was up there as a teacher and talked her into coming there. So she stayed in Northern Virginia, and guess what? She worked in those high-class restaurants and made money.
Yeah.
Then she transferred to Idaho
Oh,
for the next year, and she works in in a museum or something now.
oh, well, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
And they were here last summer.
Oh, okay. Was wondering where
And,
the song is.
But Paul, their father, he works for the state of Montana.
Oh,
He
okay.
tried to
That's
get
interesting.
a job with the veterans,
Uh-huh.
but they didn't pay the money.
Right.
So he works with Montana. You know this thing where they make people dig the gas tanks up.
Whoa.
That's what, he inspects all of that. See? He went where the big money was.
Huh,
Yeah,
good thing to do.
yeah. And you know what happened? He and his wife had been, both of them, when they went and had brass on them in the army, they went to Korea. And when it came up, they wanted to go back to Korea, and the government wouldn't send them. So Paul, they got mad, and they just got out of the army.
Huh,
And he was a major when they retired.
huh.
But
How old was he?
I don't know. He's the oldest of all
Right.
the kids.
Right.
And Elizabeth and Junior still live in the little bungalow. And everybody told them they need to build a bigger house. And they said, it's plenty big enough for us.
Who's that?
My brother and his wife, Junior. Isn't that something? And guess what? When all of them come and they need room, they stay at their house because they got one room with bunk beds in it,
Uh-huh.
2 sets of bunk beds. Then Tommy lives down in the woods. He built a beautiful brick house. His daddy had to give him 10 acres or whatever it was that he had to give him. And then John Rogers, he lives down in the woods. See, Tommy worked with Johnny Davis, and Johnny is married to Genevieve Davis's daughter, Cookie.
Well, do you know who the Ennises were that had the machine shop in Fredericksburg?
They don't kid us.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm right.
I thought they were.
No,
They weren't.
no kid.
But
That's
you know
a different breed of pup.
Yeah.
And you know, Warren Hicks Trucking Company, when my daddy and Graham Powers was in sawmill business, Warren Hicks was a truck driver and used to haul that lumber. And he's no kid. Florence Graves, she was Florence Hicks, worked in the bank with me. She tried to connect her Hickses without.
Didn't work.
Couldn't do it.
Didn't work, huh?
Different breed of pup. Isn't that something?
Sure is.
It's
strange,
amazing, huh?
Strange.
Well, you know what happened, why my grandmother was raised with your father.
Oh, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Grandma and her 3 brothers, their mother died when they were like this. And their father drove one of those jumpers, 2-wheel jumpers. And Susie Christie told me he wasn't worth nothing. He wouldn't work nowhere.
Now that was your grandfather,
That was Grandma's
grandma's.
and, you know, father.
Right, oh, okay.
And his
Got it.
wife, she died
Oh, and so.
from having so many children.
Right.
So what happened, he comes with 4 children they took the clothes, the pieces of rags, but that's all they had, and tied it up. Tied them to Hearn's pump. And that man dropped them at Hearn's. They never knew what had come of him. They thought he went to Ohio.
That's something. So the children staying with the Hearns.
With the Hearns, and they see, because Charles's grandmother and my grandmother's
Right.
mother, they were 2 sisters.
Okay.
They were Gibbses.
That's the one we got the picture of at home.
Now
Yeah.
that's Aunt Jenny and,
Right.
and Elizabeth. Was it Elizabeth?
Right, Elizabeth, right.
How many? Did they have another sister, or was there just the 2 sisters?
Just the 2 of them, as far as I know. And you got a
I thought
picture
it was 3.
of the 2 of them.
We can guess. We guess. Something in that
I've
picture,
got one.
Virginia Gibbs.
I've got one in here, and it's a copy of that one. I'll show it to you as soon as I finish
Of course,
copying
I
this.
don't know. I don't know. What happened, I had a copy that Janet sent me. See, Janet, her grandfather was William Ennis. They lived at Massapequa on Long Island,
Oh,
Uncle Will Ennis. See, Will Ennis and Uncle Herbert Ennis went to Louisa. After they were grown, they all got out on their own. But the Hearns raised them with all the big family.
Okay, because y'all had a big family.
That's right.
That only women.
Huh?
Mostly women.
Well,
3 boys,
there was,
3 boys.
there was Susie,
Emma Jean.
wait a minute,
That's her name.
was she, Winnie Hench's mother, was she married to Carter?
Emma Jean. She was the oldest.
Yeah, right. Jeannie, they
Jean.
called her
Jean.
Jeannie.
Yeah.
Jeannie Carter. Okay. Married Marshall.
Right.
She raised a big, big family, and Ella is still living. That's the only one there. Randolph is dead.
And Margaret's still living.
Huh?
Margaret is still living. And was that,
No,
that
no.
wasn't from that
What?
one?
No.
Margaret wasn't married?
No.
She's the
Thank you,
daughter
thank you.
of one
Yeah,
of them.
good. And did you get this blue book?
Yes, I copied the both of them.
Well, anyway, there was Randolph, and the other one still living. She was a registered nurse. And then the
Oh, that
boy,
was, well, it was Aunt Sue.
huh?
No, she's talking about the children of
I'm talking about Mary Marshall,
Marshall's children.
Oh, Mary
Sure.
Marshall, sure.
Mary.
Oh,
her daughter, Ella
Yes.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Ella, she married some doctor.
yeah.
I don't know, I can't remember.
Dr. Claude, somebody.
Yeah, okay. Then all the boys went through Micah School,
Huh.
every one of them.
Now you don't have your copy machine. Oh, you got your copy machine. Can you copy?
He's
Oh,
copying.
no.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'm
copied.
talking about copying her a picture of,
Yeah, he can do that.
can you
Soon as he
copy
brings
her
it
a
up.
picture of Mary Virginia Gibbs in that?
Well,
That's
what
good.
happens, I had a copy, and I went to look for it, and I can't find it. And I looked,
Did you
but
find it, Jay?
you know what I did? Whenever I get something that I've never had, I carry it over to Lois Christie, and she makes it on a copy on the computer.
Oh,
What
yes,
is it?
yes.
What,
That's
and
good.
she's got a copy of it, and I called her this morning and asked her would she give me 2 copies, because it's got both of the women. And
That might be the one you got.
Janet sent me, let me show you what Janet, she
You
is,
find it, Jay? Oh,
What a memory.
did I?
You had a little package of photographs with you. What did you do with those? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, it was a package.
here's some.
Wait a
No,
minute.
there it is over there.
Wait a minute. These are of Fort Roy, but this is Janet.
Let me show you this one. Is that the one, Amy?
Wait, I'll get the one, Lois, but let me
Okay.
this, you know how Janet got to find out and she got with Virginia Gordon Hearn White
Ah,
Right.
yes.
Oh.
on
yes.
the computer.
Right, there, Jimmy, now, have you talked to her too?
Who?
I don't think this, whoever it is you're talking
Virginia
about.
Gordon, she's one of the Hearns.
That's Jimmy's sister.
That's my
Yes, that's right.
That's Nellie
So-
Goldman's daughter.
She gets a lot of stuff, but she gets it so thick and mixed up, they're not organized.
Look,
She can't find it.
this is my grandmother, Hicks's. She was Elizabeth Ennis. This is her grandmother and grandfather.
Now, that came from Virginia Gordon, the picture, or?
I don't know where Janet
Let me see.
got it.
This is Elizabeth Pinkston Gibbs. This is the
That's who,
sister.
right,
Ah.
right.
There's that.
They called my grandmother, Susie Christie, called her Pinky.
Right.
That's right. I remember hearing her call her Pinky.
Pinky.
Okay.
And that was my grandmother's mother.
Okay. Now and that's her husband with her, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the Ennis.
Ah.
Okay.
That's where the Ennis
Ennis
comes in. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that something?
Yes, it is.
And this girl that sent me all this, her mother and father was Buddy Ennis and Helen Ennis.
Well,
And they are both
Eugene had been, we call her Jen. Virginia Gordon, we
Yeah.
call her Jen.
You do.
Uh-huh. Well, in fact, Jay just got,
See.
today is Jay's birthday, by the way.
Birthday boy.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Well, how old?
51 today.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that
I
something?
wish I could back up.
Well,
Jay,
he just
you didn't
loves his
get copies,
family
did
history.
Isn't that something?
Oh, yeah, I love the family
Which one you
history.
had, Peggy?
That's the one let's see, who
No,
put
she
She
it?
got a couple copies.
Yeah,
They
Well,
both the
y'all need to
same?
make a
yeah,
copy of
they are
that.
all the same.
Okay.
I kept them for my children.
Yeah, well, Jay, can he make a copy of
Yes,
one of those? Jay,
yeah.
you want a copy of that?
See, and she wrote on here,
Right,
Janet, Janet. She
Okay.
worked for the Annapolis, the Navy over
Okay.
there.
Now, what kin is Janice to you?
Janet, the
Janet?
one over there.
Yeah, that talk to Jen.
Her grandfather was my grandmother's brother.
Wait a
Oh.
minute, who is this now?
This one that Jen writes to, this Janet.
That's
what her last
right.
name is. What's
That's
her last
right.
name?
Janet Beard.
Okay.
Beard.
Beard. That Jen writes back and forth to on the computer her
Yeah,
family history.
That's right.
And she was telling me who she was kin to, how
That's
she was
right.
kin to.
What happened, this girl found out through Virginia Gordon
Right.
Hearn Whiting. She asked her when she was living at Columbia Beach,
Right.
Ah.
did she know anybody that was named Ennis?
And that's how it all got
That's
started.
how it got
That's how
started.
it got started.
There we go. Thank you.
Isn't that something?
That
Isn't that
is something.
Huh?
That really is something.
Did
And-
you?
They never have met face to face.
But they've talked a whole lot on that
And they
computer.
want to meet
Well, that would
together.
be nice. And she lives in Annapolis?
Annapolis.
Oh, well, then they ought, that's
And
not that
see,
far. They ought to be.
But
able
the
to get
thing
together.
of it is, her husband he has about 40 or 50 yards to take care of.
Oh,
And
okay.
in the summer, it's grass. In the winter, I think it's leaves and everything else. He was in the army and he retired from the army. They had no children.
Uh-huh.
They got a dog. And
Was he in the Army or the Navy?
no, Janet's husband was in the army stationed at Fort George G. Meade, Maryland.
Oh, it's strange he would be in a Navy place.
Well, it's
Annapolis.
because she got a job
Oh,
there.
yeah, okay.
See, and now, I mean, like Annapolis and Fort Meade are far apart. I don't know, but Janet just retired last year, and she said, Betty, I was glad to get out of there.
But you
I
was.
bet she
Yeah.
was.
And what happened, I knew her father. He used to come to Port Royal
Uh-huh.
to visit Grandma.
Okay.
And what happened, Uncle Herbert, after he was raised over to Hearns, he went to Louisa County. And Uncle Herbert, he raised a family. He had some sons, and they went up there in Louisa and got on the railroad to work. And my daddy used to keep up with those boys. Isn't that something? And I never knew them, but I knew my father kept up with them. And of course my daddy got killed, and I never, but now, what happened, Uncle Herbert, his wife died, and he married again, had another set of innocents.
Oh, my
boy.
goodness.
He had two sets.
Oh, my goodness. So now
See,
do you know the second set?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Well, now tell me
And
something.
look, he, Sambo Johnson, his mother, I had a picture of her in the old school, but I can't think where it is. His mother was a school teacher. She married a fellow by the name of Johnson.
Okay.
And Sambo, when his mother died, he must have inherited the property, or he bought the schoolhouse and all the land, and he lives at Louisa. And my Uncle Bob, the one you asked me about Hicks's motel, his son, CF, is in Gloucester. And CF keeps up with Sambo Johnson. See, because what happened, CF, when he worked for the state of Virginia, he used to be in Richmond a lot. He lived down there. And that's how he and Sambo got so thick. And they kept up because they found out, knew they were kin, you know. But let me tell you, those were the two brothers, Uncle Will, Uncle Herbert. Grandma had another brother, and he went to Bowling Green to live with these two old maids. They were Ennis's.
They were innocent.
Ennis's. They were the sisters of the one that dropped them at Hearn's Pond.
Oh, okay.
And you see behind the courthouse, that's Ennis Street. That's the name from
In
us,
Bowling Green.
right? And what happened, the boy that lived with the old maids, in those days, he was 21 years old. And he rode a horse. And Susie told me the only thing she knew was a horse, he was riding a horse. Sometimes they never had bridle saddles on them. And he fell off, or the horse threw him, broke his neck. And that's what killed him. And he is buried in, not Green Lawn, it's the other cemetery in Bowling Green. The one on right there.
Lakewood.
He's buried
That's
there.
where my grandparents are buried.
And guess what? We want to look up, because Janet in Annapolis wanted to look up his grave. And I told her when she came one day, we'd go over and I'd get David Stark to help us show us.
Yeah,
Cause
it's hard to find them in there,
I
remember?
know
Jimmy?
it,
That's
yeah.
where I got stung by that awful bee that time.
That's right. Look down in the hole.
It was something, one of his graves, and
Terrible.
I said, oh, I wonder how this is made or something. And I read, it was the flowers. Oh, and it come, it was one of my fists done.
I think
The
so.
thing swole all up, my hand
Oh,
started
Lord.
swelling, And I had to go down to Bowling Green to the pharmacist down there, and I asked
Get
her.
medicine.
Yes, I thought I was going to put Mary Washington to the hospital. It scared me almost
Swell
to
it up
death.
like a,
Swole up.
Yeah,
I
you
don't know
never,
what.
see, you gotta be so careful with the, in
no
these bushes. and
Yeah, I
things.
had no, I never
Cause
had that happen
you
before in my
can't-
life.
You can't see, and these bees and things hide.
Oof, that was scary.
I know.
It scared me. I was drinking a iced tea, a glass of iced tea I had in the car. I was
Yeah.
lucky too. I just went right in and poured my hand
Isn't
right
that-
down in that
isn't
iced
that-
tea.
Cool it
you
off.
know.
Isn't that something?
that iced tea
But-
probably helps
I
it.
think it did.
That's what happened to the Ennises. There were 4 of them. One girl.
Now, these are these
These are ones that-
Pinky's, Pinkston's children?
Right,
Okay, so it was Howard, or Herbert, Willie or William,
well, right. Uncle Will,
Uncle Will.
he was the one that met in New York,
Okay, all right.
Long Island.
Yeah,
I went,
Massapequa.
right, I went with my grandmother out there to Uncle Will's.
Where was that?
And-
Where did he live?
Massapequa,
Massapequa.
New York, Long
It's,
Island.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a social,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and he had 2 sons, Buddy and Baby. Now, Babe had 3 sons, and through Janet, she told me that Babe had 3 sons, and they were still living as far as she knew. See, but she don't keep up with them,
Right,
you know. And see, my grandfather died in 32. He was in Union Station coming home. He had gone up there and they had something with the government. He got a good job. And he was coming down in Union Station, the steps, had a heart attack. And they rushed him to the hospital. They called for my father and some others in the family. And when Daddy called Rappahannock and other brothers, when the next thing they called, he had gotten to the hospital in Washington, D.C., that my Aunt Lena was a registered nurse.
Lena, now that's the one that
Lena
we
de
knew,
Bruin.
Lena de Bruin. Is that Lena?
That's who.
Well, now my daughter and myself used to visit Lena down at the nursing home.
Oh, yeah, but I've got a picture of Aunt Lena. Let me see if I can find it. I had a picture of my grandmother, and when I went to Dawn,
It's Elizabeth.
E-N-O-S,
It's
Ennis,
Okay, Ennis.
Enos, E-N-N-I-S. That's Grandma. She was Pinkston's daughter.
Oh, Pinkston's daughter. That was your grandmother.
Yeah, that's my mother. I had a picture of Aunt Lena here, but I don't
What?
know. That's not my Aunt Lena. Somebody's been here, took it then. They took it. I had 2 pictures here, one big one and one little one. Aunt Lena was a registered nurse.
she lived in the big house around the corner around there.
Yeah.
Is that house
She-
still standing? Or did they take that house down?
No, that house, she owned 2 houses.
Oh, okay.
She owned this one over here. That was great-grandfather,
Gibbs.
Gibbs, over here,
Oh.
right across here.
And Lena
But-
owned that house too?
Yeah, she bought both of them. But let me show you the nails And
So it wants to fall through.
this was Aunt, she went to North
Right in Fredericksburg.
and finished for a ticket. Then from there, she taught and wasn't satisfied. So she went to Richmond to take up nursing.
Well, for goodness sake.
And this is the nursing class.
Let me see it.
But
You gotta hold the back
you
in.
got to hold the
I
back.
will, all right.
And this is, here's Aunt Lena. Look.
Oh, wasn't she pretty?
And you know Grandma had four daughters and 6 sons. 2 of the boys died at birth. So it left 4 and 4. Aunt Lena, Aunt Ruth, and Aunt Mary all become registered nurses.
For goodness sake.
And Aunt Daisy, she wanted to become a nurse. And Grandma said, no, you do something else. We got enough nurses.
Enough
Now
nurses in the
Aunt
family.
Lena become a nurse, and she knew McGuire,
McGuire.
the Dr. McGuire.
Oh,
She could tell you all about, she had a brain on her. She could have been a lawyer.
this is wonderful. Now here, hold the back of it again when I give it to you.
This is
That's
falling through, Jimmy. You gotta hold the back.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna give this to my grandchildren. Here, this is Aunt Lena.
Which one is her in here?
I don't know, I haven't, you know, I
Oh,
don't.
you need a magnifying glass
Yeah.
to see all of them.
Well, that's if you
This
do
is-
with that.
What school did she go to in Richmond?
It's one of the
One of the nursing schools.
nurses.
This is Lena?
Yeah. And Aunt Ruth, she went, and Aunt Mary went through Walter Reed,
Okay,
and Aunt Ruth went through Richmond.
okay.
Was this one your mother?
Huh?
No, that's her aunt.
Oh,
My
no.
daddy's sister.
Your daddy's sister?
Right.
Oh, okay.
All right. Then the oldest boy, he become a veterinary doctor
Oh,
and went to Rocky Mountain.
uh-huh,
And he was in World War I
okay.
overseas
Uh,
as a veterinary doctor.
Oh,
And of course, he's deceased. And he lived in Rocky Mountain, North Carolina.
Did you
Oh.
take it
I did,
Did you figure it out?
Yes, I got a picture of that as well.
Good, good, good.
he likes to
out? Remember who it is?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I
It's-
will.
It's Lena Hicks,
Lena Hicks.
the Bruin.
Okay.
Debruin. And the DE is little and the B is capital.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
B-R-U?
No.
Bruin. Her husband,
Different, B-R-U-I.
her husband tried to get the property out of her. He moved to Pennsylvania and he had some woman he wanted to marry.
Well, she had a son, didn't she?
No, never had
Well,
no.
who was the one that visited in the nursing home all the time?
That was a lawyer, somebody, I reckon.
No, I thought it was her son or something.
She never had no children, no children. His mother was an old
Well, did she
woman.
have a brother?
Who, Aileen?
Lena.
My daddy worked with her brother.
Well, who was
Bob
it?
was her brother.
Was he the one that visited the nursing home all the time?
I guess so.
That must have been the one.
Maybe so.
But she had no children.
Okay.
It was her Uncle Bob, Uncle Cecil, my father worked, and Uncle Leah. They were her brothers. And she wanted to get out of there. She didn't want to stay there.
Well,
mine.
did she have a big old home, did she live in that big old home until she
Yeah,
went to
right
the
here.
nursing home?
She was in that house and she owned this one.
Okay,
And when they had to put her in a nursing
Right.
home, my father had to go to her and reason with her that she had to
do something,
give, you know.
right. Well,
what
my
happened.
grandmother was in that nursing home, and so we used to go visit all of them. And
Oh,
my
yeah.
daughter Susan was so crazy about Lena. I don't know why, but she just loved Lena de Bruin.
She could tell all kinds of history, of everything.
Ah,
Dr. McGuire, everybody in Richmond, she knew all those doctors and everything.
Well,
And
now you got a little packet of pictures over here too. Did you
Wait.
know?
they of Port Royal,
Oh, they're Fort
but
Royal.
they are the ones. I had a good package of them, and then they were stolen from me
ah,
and went and made these terrible ones. And look, these people that did all that, their day is coming one day.
That's terrible.
Well,
You know that you can't trust people coming to your house and then do
you
something.
know, let me tell you something. Stuart Payne
Right,
was in the bank with me,
right.
and one day I was talking to him, and I was saying about these people, all of them that had so much, you know. And he said, Betty, look, don't worry about them and don't think about them.
ah.
You're better off than they are.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
See, and he told me, he said, the ones you gotta worry about is some of them in your family sometimes. And see, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Isn't that a shame?
And that's my daughter here. Let me show you her.
What was that?
I turned that off, saved
Oh,
battery.
isn't she
Oh.
pretty?
This is
This is the one that works at the
Pancake House
pancake, what is it?
in
Sarah's.
Aunt Sarah.
Ah.
Aunt Sarah's.
This
Okay.
is when she got
This
me
is your
her
only daughter?
only daughter.
Well, isn't she pretty?
My mother
Oh,
was
yes.
Italian, you see.
Isn't she
Uh-huh.
pretty?
Oh, she
Show
is
it to-
very pretty.
Show it
Show
to
it to
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Her mother was Italian,
Sarah's
and your
pretty.
daughter has that, look, you know?
Look.
Uh-huh. She's a beautiful girl.
And look, this here
Right.
is, this is, take that picture. I want to show you who that one
Oh,
is.
that's a beautiful picture.
This is my shoe.
Oh,
When
it's
I
all
was-
bronze, look, isn't
I
it
was-
bronze?
I
Baby
was
shoe.
a baby. My mother kept it and had it done.
Now, you tell us who they are.
This is my brother,
Uh-huh.
my mother, and this is his son, his
Okay.
oldest son, the one in Montana.
Oh, and what
And
about,
then this is his
Baby.
child right there.
Ah.
so this is your mother?
My mother is in there.
Okay, how about that?
And that's my
Your
brother,
brother.
Wirt. And
then-
this is Paul Hicks.
And his baby?
This is his son.
Oh,
And then there is, the father is this one here.
Right,
Show
show
it
it
to,
to Jimmy.
show it to Jimmy. There. That's my brother.
Huh?
On the left, the one you
Her
said,
brother.
that
Her
fixed
mother.
the place in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my mother.
Uh-huh.
Then this boy over here is his son,
Uh-huh.
see? And then this child here is his son,
Uh-huh.
see? And it was sometime, they were talking about, you know, the different generations.
Mm.
That's your mother. Now, what was her name?
Margaret
Margaret.
Teresa Hicks,
Uh-huh.
but she was Martha, Margaret Teresa Yaris. That was her maiden name. 'Cause she came from Italy when she was 6 years old and couldn't speak English. And she lived in Washington, and they all went to school together. See if you can put that back up there. It's got that thing on the back of it. Let me show Jane and where those pictures. See, did you get pictures of these things?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
Of the
believe so.
church.
School and the church.
Alright? Yeah, I'm gonna walk around for a second
Stretch
with
your
this knee a little bit. It's getting.
See, I have to be outdoors
To see real good.
to see tell Sealand,
Now that looks
wait a minute,
all right.
let me get, I've got so many glasses that I look at.
Now we know whose house this is. This is inside of this house, isn't it?
I don't know. Might be.
What house is, oh, this is Betty's. Whose is it? 54, they're all numbered on the back. That's part of Dina's house, I think, there.
Always pray,
What all was that, so.
always pray that you have your eyesight.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
See here, you look through that hole there, see,
Oh,
Jay.
yes.
And look, somebody gave this to my daughter,
Uh-huh,
and you wear it around your neck,
yeah.
and this helps you
Magnifying.
see these pictures. But I can tell you who these houses and things are,
Uh-huh.
but they've gotta see, it's hard for me to see them.
Yeah.
I'd have to be over there
Over under
with
the
the
light.
shade.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's
What's
terrible.
the
Wait. It,
Did you go on the boat?
we went on the boat down there. Somebody that worked at the island, they raised, what they have, goats,
Yeah, I think it was goats or something on it.
something on
Is that
that.
one where the big cross is?
Uh-huh.
Yes, yes, Blackstone. That's where the first Catholics landed.
Oh,
Right.
really?
And then,
That's what
you
the
know
cross
where
is
the
signified.
first Catholics landed? In Virginia. It's up there above the Catholic Church on #1 Highway.
Oh, I know where you're talking about.
You know,
where there's a monument up there or something.
right? And they used to have a big celebration
What's the name of that
with
place
a
up there?
mass. I remember that.